Tulsi Gabbard. I like her
she's great as well. Actually, she's excellent. Strong leader. And switch sides at a fundamental, like based on principles. And
yeah, I tell you what,
and she's a real person. Like she actually went to.
If I was DeSantis and I won the nomination, I'd pick Tulsi as
VP?
the VP. And that's like, could you imagine her debating Kamala Harris round 2?
Yeah, Tulsi would win that battle.
That'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Why is the extended UTXO model better than the accounts model for blockchain? It comes down to parallelism, concurrency, and your ability to process off-chain transactions. And so when you're in an account-style model, the whole system has to constantly update itself and keep track. It's almost like a global variable of what is going on for the system state. When you're in a UTXO-style model, there is this notion of keeping track of the current UTXO, but you as the user don't have to know it. You just have to know your shard of it, the things relevant to your particular wallet. And so because of that, you start having this beautiful nature where things that happen on-chain, off-chain are isomorphic to each other. In other words, that basically things can go off for a while, lots of transactions can happen, and when they come back, you're not surprised by something changing on you that you didn't think was going to change without your permission or knowledge, so that you can make strong guarantees in the proofs, the math, and the engineering. So where that's relevant, rollups, really relevant when you talk about payment and state channels, and really relevant when you talk about sidechain transactions. So when we were designing Cardano's accounting model, we said we wanted something that is going to be very straightforward to shard and go parallel and be highly concurrent. And it was the model that we had to invent. Now, the downside is it's kind of like when you go from single core processors to multi-core processors, the way that you write code to take advantage of these capabilities is fundamentally different. So you can emulate an account style model in extended UTXO, but if you do it in a very naive way, you get to that one transaction per block situation that we ran into right when Alonso came out. Now, since that time, it's been resolved. People have figured out how to write code properly, and they've really started to get a wonderful output. What's also really cool is that you can do many things in one transaction. Account, you do one thing per transaction. So with an account style model, you think in TPS. With an extended UTXO model, you think of TPT, transactions per transaction. And to just show you guys real quickly, it's
an important distinction.
There's actually a lovely website. Let's make sure they're up. Oh, yeah, they are. Okay, I am so going to share my screen. You guys ready for this shit? Whoa!
Whoa!
There we go. Infinite. All right, extendedutxo.org.
I love that.
All right, and this is actually directly connected to the Cardano blockchain.
Huh.
And it'll come online here in just a second. And so basically this shows real-time blocks in the Cardano network. So you see each of those little blocks is actually a transaction. And all those outputs are different things that are happening at the same time. So if I highlight one of these, you see that that's a script for Plutus, and these are NFTs, and those are ADA being moved. So that's a single transaction. And look at all the different events that have occurred inside that transaction. Cool. So this is a real-time view of the Cardano network. And so Sandstone, congratulations, San, you made this block. And this block had a big fat script in it. And that right there is Charlie 3. That's an Oracle transaction. Apparently somebody moved an NFT. And then you got some ADA that moved around here. This one was 16 NFTs being dropped at the same time. And that's one transaction.
Great visuals. Whoever did this, wonderful.
Yeah, so kudos to our guys at Extended UTXO. This is impossible to do in the accounts model. They don't have a representation like this. So what ends up happening is that you eventually develop capabilities to do more and more outputs. Ergo, for example, they've experimented with 5,000 outputs, and then each output can have dozens of events inside of it. Okay, lots of interesting things that are happening. So one transaction could be 5,000 transactions. And when you talk about rollups, well, you can start talking about taking all of these things, and instead of having them individually be ADA movements or NFT movements, or wow, there's a lot of scripts in this block, or scripts going on, you potentially could have all of these things be special purpose scripts and have tons of rollups off chain. So recursively, what ends up happening is the system gets an enormous scale, tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of actual transaction style events per minute. Look at that HV ADA. HVMen.
So it makes it easier because rollups essentially bundle transactions, right?
Yep.
To be
could-
validated
and
back on chain. So why is this? Because they're already bundled in such a like, why is this
You could
easier
take-
to bundle?
You could take all of these things that are inside the output and roll it up into a single output.
Right.
So all of this stuff here would be just one script.
Oh, I see what you're saying. All
And-
of these, yeah.
And then you
okay.
can have a script representing. So each of these could be a script.
Oh,
It'll
that's
be a single
amazing.
script.
I see exactly what you're saying now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the cool thing about extended UTXO.
That visual is awesome.
Yeah.
So awesome.
And you can't do this with accounts. It's just not possible.
So why did they decide to go with the accounts? Did they do this analysis? Maybe like Steelman this fun. Like, why did they decide?
Because the development model is significantly simpler.
And that's why. Yeah.
UTXO programming is a lot harder to do. And it's kind of like functional programming versus imperative programming. So we're functional programming guys, so we're really used to this type of thinking. And Bitcoin also does this as well. By the way, this is the only way Bitcoin could do smart contracts is the way we do it. Okay, and we showed Bitcoin how to do it, but we've never once innovated, I guess. So yeah, I think it's just a great model, and it's built hand in glove for Hydra. It's built hand in glove for sidechain transactions, rollups, off-chain stuff, and it's very clear how you over time optimize the UTXO model. And Ergo's done some great work. We continue to do great work, and every version of Plutus and update of the UTXO, it'll get more efficient. So you can horizontally scale, and that you can do physically more transactions in a block. And that's what input endorsers is about.
Yeah.
And then you can vertically scale, where you actually use the transactions more efficiently. And then you can do off-chain scaling, where you can represent something on-chain that's a proof of many things that happen off-chain. And that's kind of what a roll-up Hydra style thing is doing.
Yep.
And then you can have completely different models, which is what sidechains is about. And so those three things together, the horizontal, the vertical, off-chain, and side chains, these types of things are what really make the secret sauce great. It's just inevitable. Over time, you'll just get more and more speed, more and more capabilities. We've already gone from a very difficult development model when Alonzo first came out to actually a pretty functional model and a pretty functional ecosystem in about half the time it took Ethereum. So if you give us another year, 2 years, it's just going to be exponentially better. And there's going to be so much more capability that's inside the system.